Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring you another day of racing here in SSRL. For today, it's gonna be Division 2 as usual on Tuesdays. My name is Herman, and we will be later joined by David. We are looking at currently the race calendar to see that for today the Hungarian Grand Prix is up for us, and after a very interesting race in Division 1, we will be seeing a continuation of that probably today. And furthermore, we will look into what the championship standings are looking like here. And obviously what the track map looks like, and obviously the result from last time as well. So let's look at it. That is the track map for you. That's 14 corners and noticeably 4 180-degree turns, basically. Turns 13, 14. You can argue 1 and 2 as well. There's only one DS zone here with the best overtaking opportunity into turn 1. But if you're fresh tires, and we'll be having a lot of fresh tires for this Grand Prix today, you can do it into turn 5, turn 12. If you're feeling fancy, even turn 6 with the chicane. Honestly, this track is going to be high downforce anyway, so you need to maximize exits at any stage to get a chance, even remotely. And that also applies to every exit out of these 180-degree turns. We have the result from last time out, a crazy race where both of our most podium finishers, two of them actually, Moksha and Fellison, crashed in the castle section. We had loads and loads of DNF, 6 to be exact, and there was a crazy upset. Energetic took his first podium, or was a new podium finisher for this season, and Andy took David over the line in a photo finish, also very close, as you can see by the times, with Tibran and also with Kovachka, Race Chase, and 2000s between Snake and Flip, although he was handed a 3-second time penalty, as you can see. Devsy on debut points, Falco on debut points impressed their respective teams, and they've joined. And the names you can see, what we will talk about that later. And we have had Divisions 1's current results, 118 to 78 points. Fellison not finishing means a big swing in points. For Andy, who was looking very likely to close this one out, only off the podium once, and I was in Qatar in the opening race of the season, as we have now 4 back-to-back wins. Fellison not gonna like this one. Has been has David now for company. Moksha 4th, drops a bit. Then bigger gap to T-Brand, who's close with Snake and Jolly Boy John. So Aston Martin, very lovely duo so far, and also energetic. So that is certainly a fight to look out to. Rush move to reserve driver. Control is no longer racing with us as well. Kovatska and Quincy with a good result, as you can see. Flip, Vincenzo, Wouter, then Toby in 16th. Race Chase as a good reserve driver. Always trying to race. Did not finish his. Hurt him a bit, but it's still a long season. Oige, Ivor, who's no longer racing, and Taka Jr. are your top 20. And for the Constructors World Championship, we have 144. Then it's Alpine 113. Sauber 106, and after that it's Red Bull against Aston Martin, 4 points separating them, then 2 points between Haas, McLaren, and 2 more further behind is Ferrari, with Williams only 1 point away from the Maranello squad. And Racing Bulls have now climbed their way back into the fight at the bottom with Energetics P3, and you will be certainly happy to see that one probably be turned around in the future. And we are still awaiting drivers, if I'm aware. So let's see what will be happening. As we say hi to Dave.
Hello! How are you
Hello,
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm looking forward to Hungaroring this week. Of course. Another turning point in the championship, and DeAndre now, of course, taking a very dominant lead as things stand right now. So, well, I'm looking to see if fellow Sun can try and bring things back and try and make things more even going into the next break, which, of course, will be a couple of races' time. But for the time being, Herman, what are you thinking will be the difference maker for Hungaroring?
Well, a big story yesterday was that Andy had a slip up in terms of a moment where he handed himself a 10-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane, and Williams, namely Moksha and Fellison, made that last stint very hard for him. He was on a better tire, and his overall pace pointed towards a win here, but he had to work for it. And if something like
Mm-hmm.
this can happen again, obviously relying more on Andy making a mistake than the others to actually be on pace in front of him, there can be a chance. And also things about the tires they've learned, maybe setup changes, is all very much on the cards. And there might be another phase joining the front. Energetic finished on the podium last time out in Azerbaijan, and he was close to a podium yesterday as well in a very competitive race from the V Cup driver. So I expect if he doesn't have a bad day today overall that he can fight with the top guys as well again, and we may see another one joining. Trucks is already in the lobby and is joining as a reserve driver, a name we haven't seen for a while, but we can expect him, if nothing goes wrong and he keeps the penalties to himself, uh, to be at the front. And you have casted him. I've raced against him. This is a name in SSI history we should mention and talk about, and we will look at his qualifying performance. And he was also strong yesterday. Couldn't unfortunately convert it into a nice race result, but I think he's certainly up there and was always a threat to these guys at the front.
Absolutely, like as you kind of hinted to there, he had a problem with track limit penalties, and he was always a sucker for those. And of course, one of the most iconic moments in SSRL history was actually in Melbourne. I think it was either season 3 or 4, where he actually did a somersault round the final corner at Albert Park. I think David famously put over a Westlife song. Flying Without Wings, I think it was called. I think it's Westlife. I could be getting that very wrong
I
though.
think so, yeah.
Um, but yeah, no. So that is Trugster's moment in SSRL history, absolutely bookmarked there. So he's certainly a name to look out for. But one of the drivers that did impress me last week was well Bavish. Actually, he was really towards the front for a lot of the race. Unfortunately, did suffer a DNF. Towards I think it was the middle of the race. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. And so I'm on the lookout for him as well. But Trugster, absolutely great to see him back in the league, even as a reserve. And well, if he's learned to keep those tires beyond, well, sorry, on the white line, he should be a contender for the win this week.
Yeah, track limits will be at some stages also yeah, something to look forward to for some drivers because they had some experiences yesterday. And yeah, just touching on the point that you made about Bevish, we had, I think, one of the safety cars. I think we had 4 last time out. He was running an extended stint and yeah, failed to keep it on the black stuff, and yeah, then hit the wall. Was out unfortunately. Same for Jolly Boy John, who really gambled on the extension of a longer medium stint at the end of the race, and then on the restart lap he binned it into the castle section, which was a yeah, very heartbreaking moment there for him, but I'm certain he can, if the track obviously suits him, bounce back. He had a good qualifying day. He had a good qualifying in season 4 when Vincenzo was his teammate, and they could make something happen again. And also T-Brand, if he yeah does not forget to pit for the second time, then they can back a huge amount of points, and the teams are tightly matched together, and both of them are actually in a fight for a top 4 spot right now. So they need to be aware that they can't screw up, especially if the top people like Andy or maybe Fellison or Moksha again, if they get too close again, if they screw up, he needs to be there.
Absolutely. You were talking about the castle section last week. It didn't just catch out Bavis, it also Bavish even. It also caught out. It was Jolly Boy John who, of course, went on to those medium tires for a very long amount of time. And unfortunately, just as he was trying to get those tires into a working temperature, unfortunately, the wear kind of dictated that, and he actually caused, I think it was the third safety car in Azerbaijan. So he's actually probably just looking to get some confidence back this week and just try and finish the race. That's probably what's going to be most important to him, I would imagine. We are now seeing the countdown for qualifying, so an 18-minute session will be underway in just a few moments' time. But then after the qualifying, we will have a 50% feature race distance. Now, I think according to the lap counter, that should be about 35 laps, if I'm not mistaken, Herman, or I
Yeah,
might be getting my stuff mixed up.
no, that's absolutely correct. 35 laps are on the board today, and see who navigates them as fast as they can. 19 drivers for tonight, and we have two official signings for new seats, including both of the drivers who made their debut last time out. Falco Warrior for Ferrari, and according to my notes, also Dempsey was meant to play his part at Williams, isn't here at the moment, but might join as well, just to looking at my notes right now. Let's see. Maybe we are 20 at the end of qualifying and for the race start. But as of right now, people have 18 minutes to get the fastest lap on the board they can achieve. And the first one out is Energetic. Already talked about him here. Had a good showing. Only a penalty denying him of a podium finish. And he was looking very strong. Also played a beautiful undercut before his or at his second pit stop, where both of the Williams were a bit caught out. I have to say, Fellison, from my point of view, extended a bit over the point. And speaking of strategy, it's going to be probably in any way maybe Andy starting on the hards again, just like he did yesterday. If it's going to be dry, it's looking like medium hard or hard medium. Some people were gambling on the softs, then didn't go for the early VSC we had yesterday. There was no full safety car at any stage, and that's a bit of grass cutting there by the V-Carb as he approaches the start of the hot lap he will be posting. If it's not invalid, it's going to be the first time more people are coming out, including both Aston Martins, both Kick Saubers. I can see Mercedes. Second V-Carb is also on the outlap right now as we jump on board, and let's get David to get us through a lap of this beautiful track.
Okay, approaching turn one at the Hungary. You want to go left because you want to set up for this right-hander there. It's a medium to slow speed corner, and it's very much the same again. Go to the right-hand side. Now you go left. Now you want to get an early exit here because you then need to set yourself up. Go a little left, now go right, but allow the downforce of the car to carry you through. It's okay, it should hold together, but now you get this high-speed, sharp left-hander there, which the V-Carb driver takes absolutely perfectly. Then the long, medium speed right-hander here, now setting you up for the sudden braking zone. It is left, it is right and left even, and that is a sudden chicane, but now medium to slow speed corners, so you've got to be careful with your right foot. You go left, you go right, then you go to the exit curb, set yourself up for a flat left-hander, then you want to lift a little bit for this right-hander, but not too much. There was a little lift there from the V-Carb driver. Now you set up for this sharp braking zone. It is the final few corners now. Get yourself on the left-hand side, now transfer to the right, go left again, hit that apex, but that was very wide there from the V-Carb driver, so his time is going to be a little compromised here, and a bit wide there, but that's usually the line you want to take through the final corner. He comes across the line now. It is a 1:15.375 from the V-Carb driver, Energetic.
First lap on the board. It's very important. Some people even didn't get a lap time in yesterday as they were looking to start from the back, which wasn't probably helping. So it was next across the line here as a reserve today. And that will be a very slow opening lap as Jolly Boy John now takes the first spot away and is currently roughly a tenth faster than Energetic, as we see Tag and Gino also close out a lap. Next across the line is Truckster, another tenth faster. And then there's a Mercedes, and that's Andy, and that's, yeah, 8 tenths faster, 14.3. And there was also T-Ban over the line, has been jumped by Fellerson as well into second now. And also Kovachka finishing off on 16.6. Next across the line was a Haas, starting his lap, that's Flip.
Absolutely, and of course, Truckster there really started making an impression very early on, but already beaten by fellow Sun and Moksha. So there you go, Andy RJ there with the fastest time at the moment with nearly a 1:44. But Moksha and fellow Sun not too far behind this time around. It was very much the Andy Andre show in Azerbaijan. Well, nearly was last time out. Andy RJ, of course, qualified in Azerbaijan, pole position. Then just looking at his race results, was able to hold it there, but not by a whole much. Remember, it was only 400ths of a second that Andy beat David by, and that was just because he hung on to that DRS. So you'll be hoping for something a little more comfortable, but with the tight and, well, short nature of the track that is the Hungaroring, it's going to be very difficult to kind of keep that in play. And, well, as you can see already, it is the top 6 nearly separated by a second, so really not too much to separate a lot of people at the moment as well. People on a hot lap. Well, there's a lot of people on a hot lap, and Danger David is also gone in there, up into 4th place, and his teammate Tarkangino all the way down in 13th position here. Babish all the way up into 10th, and I was talking about him earlier on. Qualified, it was in 6th position, but has a few more places to make up as of right now. But Herman, who have you got your eyes on this evening?
Yeah, right now I will be looking at what Flip maybe can do. He has certainly shown an upwards trend and the promised pace by Quincy when he joined first last season. And yeah, that it is looking more likely to be where he is actually in terms of pace. Maybe needed to have some sort of a good entrance here where he established himself, gets to know these guys. That is also very important for racecraft sometimes, to see what level of aggression people will put. And obviously on a track like this you need to have qualifying performance, you can't always rely on racecraft. But the twist with this season, especially with the 2-stopper, you can really make things work. And if you, yeah, just one safety car can turn the thing for all of the guys who try and overcut on a different tire at that stage, can turn it completely on its head. And Flip has, yeah, despite a penalty handed to him, has yeah, made some use of his performance and put it on the board for the last couple of races, as Snake now goes to P4 on a 14.8, his first lap on the board as well. As Ibo is also there, finishing off one, it seems. Yeah, had a slower lap earlier on, currently on a 20.0, but I think he's trying to find a groove as Mr. Walter, the teammate of Flip, hasn't also set a lap time with 10.5 minutes to go. Needs to get one on the board. In lap is short, as is the overall lap as well, so you can get some laps done still at this stage of the qualifying. And also Falcor, is he gonna finish this one off? Yeah, seems like it. First outing as a full-time driver here with Ferrari. And let's see what his first lap time is looking like. 16.1, currently in P14. That is already inside of the points paying position if he would stay like this, as Fallison is next to start a flying lap and he is on his second attempt, as well as Andy, it seems. Yeah, right behind that. And also Kovachka is out there as well. Truckster and yeah, Truckster as well, just on a start-finish straight. So I expect Flip and also Jolly Bojon to have a good race here today, disregarding how Truckster might shape things up, or just turn the order a bit upside down if he can learn from the mistakes or whatever happened yesterday to make a good result here, even as a reserve driver. That's certainly good for the future as well. People have been signing off in terms of their full-time seats, so he could be starting a reserve to full-time driver cycle here, and if he has some points on the board early on, that would be great.
Absolutely. I just kind of want to bring a note back to Falcor Warrior, who, of course, just set a time to go up into 14th. His qualifying from last week was actually 19th, so he's already found a bit more pace in the latter half of this qualifying session. So good improvement coming from the Ferrari driver there. Not bad at all. But also as well, Truckster there now does improve by a 10th. He's now got a 1:15.0 on the board. That brings him up into the top 6. Just looking at the championship standings, I just kind of want to give a bit of attention to that as of right now. In the drivers, of course, Danger David, thanks to that second place, thanks to that second place, he got 7 points now behind fellow Son, but still a ways to go. 47 points. He needs to try and claw back, and Andy has been absolutely on fire, and his form is just going from strength to strength. We mentioned last week how his season really got off perfectly. Oh, pardon me. Got off perfectly. Like, seasons 3 and 4, he begun with DNFs to his name, but this season it just hasn't happened. If you count all the races that have occurred so far over the 5 races that we've had thus far, we've got 4th place in Qatar, and then he's got 4 wins in a row, and that's just kind of the form you need to be on if you're going to contend this season. Andy has just found something. He's not taken the game as seriously this time, and if anything, it's just kind of brought his pace alive, and maybe there's just something about the focus that, he's decided to mitigate onto other things, and maybe it's just taken some of the pressure off. But here we go. We're just going to see Moksha complete a time now. Nearly 2 tenths behind there, nearly, 10th and a half really, but Moksha only able to keep second place for the time being. Laps will be coming in soon from Fellow Sun and Pleasant Snake, although Fellow Sun will be the one we are looking to keep an eye on as of right now. But to Brown here, up in 5th, looks like he's had a bit of a warm-up lap, and in fact that's going to be an in-lap, so he is into the pits. And Bavish as well, up into 6th place in the V-Carb as well, 1:15.0. He's doing very well for himself yet again. And Quincy now is coming across the final few corners here at the Hungaroring, but he's going into the pits. He's currently 14th. Now, looking at his qualifying from last weekend, he's not actually all that off the pace. I mean, his position isn't 9th like it was in Azerbaijan, but his pace is very much on par from where it was last week. So it's not like he's off the pace. It's just how tight the field is this week, and due to the shortness of the track, as I will say over and over again. But I think that is just a compliment to how competitive it is this season when Andy isn't dominating things. So here we go. Bavish now up into 3rd place. The Mauritius driver has gone and done an incredible lap. At the moment, he is the highest he has been in qualifying. That's a 1:14.7 as Flip now just across the line now to begin a flying lap. Flip with 7th with a 1:14.967. Can he improve on this, Herman?
You just completed one, that's why I switched to him. You jumped from 15th to 7th, so very well done. Great effort here as we await Danger David to get done with the next 2 sectors. Currently down and demoted to P9, 5.5 minutes roughly to go. So there's certainly one more attempt in this if this one isn't it. So let's see what the split time says. 4 tenths faster, that is very good. And it would look, or is looking like he could be challenging Moksha and Bavish on that 2nd or 3rd place right now. And that Ferrari gets out of the way. Moves to the outside and then to the inside. Very important on your hot lap to get this one close to the line. And it's a 14.7, very close there at the top. P5 for him now, as I think Truxer is on another lap here. Also noting that Andy did not complete his 2nd attempt. He was roughly out at the same time as Truxter was. And I think Fellison is also starting a next attempt here, maybe even his final one. Let's see. 4.5 minutes to go. That's going to be tough, especially if you don't put 6 kilos of fuel into the car. Then you're certainly going to maximize performance because you have the lightest car possible. But that also usually means you need to take a slow in-lap, and that is really punishing your in-lap time as well. I'm still looking at that Devsy had joined the session throughout the disqualifying, but has not taken the car, and if he's still in, he will be automatically given the Williams, but he will start at P20, and that is currently obviously last. Svalison is now at the end of the second sector and is 3.5 tenths up, so looking for that second place that is currently occupied by Pleasant Snake. The Norwegian in the Williams now into second position, and Andy, who is driving the Miss Truckster, goes to second. Very close there as well. See what Fellison can do here on his attempt. Also goes to second. Both on a 14.4, but have not beaten Andy as of right now. And that is Moksha over the line to start his probably final attempt here. And there was an Aston Martin. That also is the start of a lap for Tiber and Jolly Boy John in the pit lane. And there is a slow Kovatska. There's no ES usage from him here. Both Mercedes are out very close together on the track as well. That is a slow lap. And I think we should stay with Andy for his probably final attempt. And I think he will be leaving it late. And certainly is making it great once again. If this isn't a rare slip up from him, as you discussed, 4 race wins on a row. You don't do that just because of luck. Some talent is involved there as well, and he is trying to beat that 14.3. Fortunately, I can't remember what his time was yesterday. Skovitska calls it today on P15, so that's gonna be a tough climb from him. As we see the first 2 turns navigated now. Uses the ES on the exit to approach the left-hand side and is 700ths of a second faster. Also finishing not improved. Moksha goes to provisional pole position! The German on top in Hungary for now, but we obviously are keeping an eye on Andy. 0.2 of a second is usually very easy to achieve inside of an ever-evolving track due to track evolution. Second sector split coming up. And he has found 3/10. Andy is looking for another pole position inside of this season, as he has already completed 4 out of 5 poles. Final turn for him. Mercedes on top again is the question mark. And he does it! Finds 4/10 into the 13th. And he's certainly not going to be beaten by anyone behind, because they are far back now. The drivers left out on the track just like Bevish. They need to find some miracle lap time. Not achieved here. And then a Jetic jumps to third on his final attempt. So very strong result currently for both V-Cup drivers. And there is Wouter starting with 42 seconds left on the clock. His final attempt is coming up now. Snake as well. Jolly Boy John is behind that. There's also Ferrari. That's Toby. But he's getting out of the way. He's done with qualifying. And that was David going by into turn 1. Second Haas of Flip is also on his final attempt. What a lap by Andy. What a lap. And I'm interested to see what maybe Snake can do. He was very close to them. People put in their lap times. Down to 6. So he can maybe claw this back. I'm interested to see if Quincy, that is certainly no more improvement for you. And I expect they are coming into the pit lane soon. Both McLarens are through as well. So I think the next guy across the line should be Wouter. Let's stick with the Dutch, one of the Dutchies for the Haas team, currently P12, looking for a top 10 finish, not achieved as of right now. That Snake onto the line, stays in 6, and Jolly Boy John up into P8. as Danger David hops into the second row of the grid. Flip over the line into 10th. And the Ferrari behind that was Toby. And we are done with qualifying. And it is certainly looking very interesting. Danger David as another guy for company that has currently found the upward trend. Fellison in 5th, Truckster 6th. Bevish 8th looks great and he is very close on time, but these drivers just find some time at the end of these sessions all the time, and that's why they're usually front runners here as well. What do you make of this qualifying session so far?
Well, obviously, like Andy Andre on top as things stand, and like he's having to clearly dig deep this week. It's very much not him running the show fully. Although, like there's great competition coming in and around. But I'm sure we'll see the full results in just a second. And there you go, we've got our full results. So let's just go through those very quickly. So on top is Andy Andre in the Mercedes. Second is Moksha, Energetic third. Fourth is Dage David, followed by Fellow Son in fifth. Truckster the reserve back in SSRL 6th, Pleasant Snake 7th, Babish 8th, 9th is Jolly Boy John, 10th is Flip, then from 11th to 15th is Eugene, Tabran, Wouter, Tark and Gino, and Quincy, and then from 16th to 20th is Toby, Kovachka, Falcor, Ibo, and then, oh yeah, no, that was it, because we have 19 drivers, so there you go, 19 drivers, not 20 this week. Now, as of right now, what? I'm going to say that Andy Andre is going to be on top. He is in unstoppable form, and this is just predictions for the race, by the way. But obviously, just in case for those of you that are new to SSRL, well, first and foremost, welcome to SSRL. And if this is your first time watching Formula One League racing, a warm welcome to you as well. While rules are very different this season, SSRL has implemented a mandatory two-stop rule in the 50% feature race to give strategy more of a front point rather than just relying on the safety car if that ever comes out during the session. But as of right now, it's given us very exciting racing as of right now. But Andy very much is the driver to beat. Has beaten just about everybody on, well, has beaten everybody on track for 4 races in a row now. We're currently on a little bit of a break. We'll be underway at 7:59 GMT, so a 3-minute break just to kind of get things settled down. Then just get your get the strategies all in play, and then get your fuel all set up as well. But there you go. But Andy Andre again, leaving it late but making it great. Pole position for him for what feels like the 4th race in a row. I think it is, but I would have to go through each individual.
Yeah, I think so. Control took, I think, Qatar pole position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it would have been the reserve driver.
Yeah, so we have a bit of time to discuss predictions. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw my head into the ring saying Andy takes it, Moksha second, and I hope Energetic can redeem himself from yesterday. I think the competition is so close. I can easily see David as well in third, Fellas in third. That is all a possible. That is these are the possibilities basically, but a bit of data that these drivers have, especially compared to David, who's basically only racing one split throughout the weeks, can be an advantage. Also, like the tendency of track limits and how easy they're achieved can also help. So if you have done at least this kind of practice race with Division 1 from yesterday, they might be an advantage. And that didn't hold David back from taking almost the win last time out. But we are certainly gonna be interested to see how this plans out. What are your top 3 for tonight, David?
Well, I've already said my winner. I think that's going to be Andy Andre, to be honest with you. I think that is a very safe call to make. But in terms of second and the third, I really couldn't tell you at all at the moment. It's been absolutely mesmerizing to watch what has been an outstanding qualifying session. And then, I tell you, there's not really much separating second to second to well, to be honest, the top 10, to be honest, nothing really separating them at all. And it's very difficult to call. But if I'm gonna go I think I'm gonna go and cause an upset. I'm gonna say Bavish for second place. I know he's in eighth, but I want to see what he can do from there because he does have pace. And he's starting to come into his own as the season goes on. So I'm gonna say he's on for second place. But
Okay.
for third, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Danger David.
All right.
But there we go. We'll see how that turns out. But anyway, got a couple of more minutes to go. In fact, actually, we are
Seconds.
going to be underway. Got literal seconds, and it's going to be 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Hungary. And it's go for round 6. Pleasant Stake already well, actually, no, it's Truckster losing positions here right off the line, all the way down to 15th position. Don't know what went wrong for him, but it's 3 wide for the lead, and there's contact between Moksha, and I believe that was Andy Andre there, but nothing too harmful at the moment. But Fellow Son up into second place already, but all this battling means that Andy Andre is allowed to get away. Energetic somehow holds on to third place and all of that. Then Danger David is still there in fourth, looking around the outside there, but that was never going to really be on around the outside, around that corner. You are asking for trouble. But Fellow Son with an electric start all the way up to second and looking at his championship rival in the face as now we go through the twisty-turny sections of the Hungaroring.
Moksha losing 3 places on the start while he was challenging Andy into turn 1, and he is again on the harder tires. Pleasant Snake is doing that as well as they approach for the first time in this race the final sector, and Fallison is not playing around. He is certainly gonna keep Andy on his toes as he is within his DS window, goes and runs wide at the exit of the last turn. Is an opportunity now for Energetic. If he uses a bit of his energy, he can maybe dive it into turn 1, but he's staying cautious and he's staying behind for now. We had an incident with Falco on his debut for Ferrari, unfortunately, and Devsy is indeed in the session, so we are in fact running with 20 drivers, and the top have still remained kind of the same. Bevish is going down the order, also on the hard tires, fighting Quincy in turn 3. Runs the Mercedes a bit off the track. They're still kind of side by side, but you can't really go in to turn 4 side by side. It's very much a single file corner, and the Quincy has to stay back there and leave that position for now at the back end of the points. And he is looking probably to be more careful and more cautious about what happened to him yesterday. Opening lap spin on the hard tires caused him to have a very long second stint, and he has not done that as of right now. So starting on the mediums, maybe a bit of a precaution to save his race with a better points finish at the end maybe. And for the first time we can open DS now. Fallison, obviously the first car that is has DS available to him, but there are no moves as of right now at that stage for the first couple of positions, as Jolly Boy John was fighting the inside line of Snake. That turns to the outside of turn 2 now. Tire advantage for the Aston Martin, goes around the outside, has the inside now. Snake leaves him room, but his positioning was very well executed, and Flip is gonna benefit off of that. No, he runs wide at exit of 4. Can he hold it on the inside? Don't run over the tricky curbing on the inside. There is the second Aston Martin, and that's a time penalty. As the second Aston Martin of T-Burn was challenging him into turn 6, and now there has been a broken link in the chain, with Snake now being 2 seconds behind the next car in front. That is currently the McLaren of Eugene, and he is pressing on to stay with the top group as Snake is now forming the second train, and that is currently going down all the way to Truckster, who is into 16th. So something happened there we did not catch, as Andy sets another fastest lap of the race. 10 positions down already. He has some work to do.
Absolutely, Trugster there had a bit of an issue on the start. I didn't quite catch what that was. He was on the medium tyre, so it wasn't tyre compound related. as Energetic and David are now beginning to swap for third and fourth. And David trying to get third there and going round the inside of turn number 3. Bit of unhappiness there coming from Energetic, just telling him how he feels. But that gives Danger David the place. So now, David is trying to kind of fight back from when he lost the win there in Azerbaijan last week by 400ths of a second, remember. Toby now next with a 3-second track limits penalty on lap 4 out of 35. I was just kind of thinking to myself, you know, we're not seeing many moves at the moment. I'm wondering if we're waiting for pit stop strategies to take place, but now we've just seen 2 excellent moves there. And now we are, well, the race seems to be hotting up as of right now. Eugene is having an excellent race there, up in 6th position as of right now. Really doing well in terms of his results last week there.
Fellison! He gets it all wrong!
Fellowson crashes out and loses his front wing, bringing out the virtual safety car on lap 4 there. I'm really sorry to cut over you there, Herman.
Oh, good.
You're getting excited, and I'm sorry about that. But Fellowson down to 9th position, and that is another dramatic turning point in his championship. He did not finish last week in Azerbaijan, and it's cost him a pleasant snake with a 10-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. I'm not sure what that would be for, as he looks to have stayed in formation and kept to the delta. So I don't know if you could give me any insight there, Herman, as to what could have happened.
Yeah, sometimes the game does not register the car that had the incident and just thinks that you overtook someone under yellow flag, but that is obviously when it's the cause of the yellow flag you are or should be able to overtake. As the race is underway again, green flags are waved, and I think Fellowson needs to hold on to having no downforce at all now in his car, as David is now the next behind, and yeah, that's certainly is gonna leave him with a challenge. And he did not get surprised by the restart or anything. That was very close to leaving David in outside of the DRS window, as Energetic has also dropped it. Yeah, so Moksha could be going for an attack here into turn 1. He's staying behind right now. Maybe turn 2 is way better for him. He has obviously had better moments yesterday compared to what he's doing now, but it's still a long one. Pit stops will be coming in soon. I expect the low double-digit laps to be the first pit stops here, as Fellowson Chuckster is also in. Let's check tires both on the hards, it seems, so that will be going longer, very long into the race, probably until lap 24, and trying to get the race back later in the race, as Andy is now trying to use a bit of that tire advantage already. The hard tire is working beautifully again, and he didn't have to slow down so much because it only was a VSC. You don't lose the tire temps that much compared to a full safety car. And Moksha is actually fighting Energetic into turn 13. He's probably aware that the best overtaking opportunity is coming up right now. Let's see if there's an immediate response, as David actually posted fastest lap of the race. Yeah, Energetic is good on ERS, so he could be going for that, but he is thinking of that for maybe a later stage. Is also the McLaren is looking feisty. All of this train now consisting of Moksha, Energetic, and Olin. I think there's another spin. Targangino into the wall at the exit of 1.
And loses his front wing for good measure.
Full safety car!
Full safety car, as Herman rightfully says. Full safety car deployed here in the Hungaroring. And DeAndre's lead is absolutely demolished. And Targangino just, well, of course, is... Oh, Fellowson is out!
Oh. Has he crashed?
Fellowson's out! I don't know. I don't know.
Let's check.
Out. Yeah, check the race director quickly. What has happened there?
DNF?
No. DNF, terminal damage.
Maybe he crashed inside the pit lane.
You know, we could have. I will check the Discord for you and see if anything's being said in there. But at the moment, yeah, we've had our first. Well, no, I say our first retirement. It is our first retirement because it was Tark and Gino that brought out the full safety car. I'll see if I can get any information on that for you. Oh yeah, and I think you might be right because we've got a embarrassed face here in the Discord, so I think you're actually quite correct. But we are now seeing a flurry of activity in the pit lane. Look at that, 12 drivers are in there, but Babish ignores the call and he takes the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix on lap 8 out of 35. But I don't know how long that will be for. He'll be on older tyres. It looks like he's yet to make a pit stop as
Yeah.
far as I can see. Yeah, I am correct. So yeah, there you go. Everybody now taking this opportunity to get their first pit stops out the way. Do remember, of course, guys, we have 2 mandatory stops. So it is absolutely crucial that you, well, it would have been crucial to just get your stop out the way because now Babish has older tyres than absolutely everybody. I completely understand wanting the lead in a race, and like, you know, we don't see him up here. Well, even though he's only had a few races this season. It's, oh, well, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable until your first stop, and now you're, of course, a stop behind everybody else. So it really is this interesting game that you've got to play. Do you bother fighting with Andy RJ? I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't even bother with Danger David. You'd be looking at the next hard runner there of Moksha. But whether you have that information or not in the driver's seat, Herman, do you get that information if you know other drivers around you are on certain compounds?
Yeah, well, usually when you are not leading, you get the next 2 cars, so 2 ahead of you, 2 behind you, and that is obviously a very good indication. And you obviously will know that there's one guy that stayed out because he was the net race leader and everyone around. I think, speaking of tires, and obviously Andy in our picture right now, interesting choice that he went from the hard off and thought of that as an opportunity to have maybe 2 extended stints on the both of the mediums he will probably be running, and also Snake did that, but he's down into P11, while others, including Moksha again, went for that hard. Interestingly, David is gonna be on the hards on his for his finest stint because he's opted for that second medium, and I think that is a smart play to do because the only option you can see from David's PV is Andy's coming in. Okay, his only reaction really that makes sense is that the Mercedes crew are gonna fit medium tires to him. Usually people don't bring the second hard, and they will be running at an extended 2 stop with the medium. Andy will probably be undercutted by David, or should be undercutted by David, because the tire advantage after pit stop is roughly 2 seconds. So even with the pace advantage Andy maybe has, just 1 or 2 laps earlier from the mediums onto his final stint for David can make a difference, and he could be looking at least leading the race after the final pit stop phases, especially if there's no late safety car, because that would certainly not really benefit him. He kind of needs Andy to have more wear on his tires a bit to have a chance. The hard for him is going to be doing a lots of work, and or that tire can withstand at least 25 laps here, and yeah, he will be looking for probably an undercut around lap 22 to 24, and that is certainly something I would suggest to the Red Bull crew to not extend overly in terms of his medium tire life, as the safety car has now been called in, and Babish is gonna do that restart, and we listen in to the VCAP engine while he gets the restart done, and Bernd Mailänder has pulled in, and that was a very early pull. And he is going already.
With you, Herman, if you don't mind me saying so, like, you know, there was a massive gap there to the Mercedes car there. And so Andy was just a bit slow. I don't quite know what he was doing. I mean, I think he knows that Babish ahead needs to stop again anyway, as Tabran now is in the pit lane as well. He's all the way down to 19th, of course, only just making that stop. But now Energetic is going to try and looking at a move, as now the Alpine of Moksha goes defensive. But will it work? Because we saw the outside work for Danger David a lot too long ago, and, well, Moksha will be remembering that. he was the well, no, it was Energetic. Sorry, he overtook. So Energetic probably trying to do what David did to him, but doesn't get it done successfully. So has to hold back for now. But there you go. So it's all been line astern from here up until I would say turn 14. But looking at second place, Andy Andre now has already caught up to the back of Bavish. That's not unexpected due to the fact that Bavish did not stop during that safety car period. And do ignore that safety car graphic. And if you can hear anything in the background, I do apologise, as we have a caution in Sector 2 for a spun round Williams of Dempsey. I think we will be underway again, but missing part of his front wing there. So he'll need to come in and get that repaired sooner rather than later. But that's going to be another pit stop for the Williams driver. Finished 10th last week due to several DNFs. Of course, we had a record 8 DNFs. But here we go for the lead of the race. Andy to the inside. No DRS activated, of course. But there you go. Andy Andre with the fresher tyres gets that move done. No problem at all. And he is now back into the lead of the race. And while there was no DRS, that is just the example of how fresher tyres really do help you out in situations like this. Really doing Andy a lot of good here. And now David, well, having to remain behind the V-Carb driver here. And he's going to be losing time, and Andy will be using this to try and get away. And in actual fact, Bavish does him an absolute favour. Lets the Red Bull driver through. Probably a bit of V-Carb Red Bull team orders there. But now David is looking directly at his championship rival, and of course, with fellow son not finishing, as long as David just finishes the race within the top 10, he overtakes fellow son in the standings, so he will be the runner-up going into round number 7 next week. So at the moment now we approach the only, well, one of the only DRS zones, will be the only activation detection zone, and then the activation points, well, there's 2 of them. One zone for 2 activation points is what I was trying to say there, as we now come into turn 1. But here we go in the background for 4th place. Energetic overtakes Moksha, but Moksha fighting back. Herman, complete this.
Energetic looking like he has done already with this move, and the McLaren driver is also trying to benefit off of this, as the Alpino Moksha was just staying on the outside there, and you just have to run a longer distance into turn 1 if you stay on the outside and don't immediately go for the switchback. So that was certainly done before the braking of turn 2 by the vehicle of Energeticus, now looking to get by on his teammate that is already losing time, and big time as Truckster, our guy, gets a 3-second time penalty, his first one in this race. Others have been there before him, as the top 2 now skid away from them. And before you mention that championship prospect for David and Fellerson, he came into the chat and said in, stay out. And I think we all know what that means, as there's a, oh no, an Energetic is off! Oh no, what happened?
Unbelievable scenes. Another dramatic turn in what has been an exciting race thus far. Even the lead is about to have a change. I think Danger David is only a 10th behind Andy Andre, but couldn't get it done into turn 1.
Oh.
Energetic with a 10-second penalty.
And he retires!
And he retires. Oh my goodness me. And that is our second retirement. Now, no safety car will happen as they retired in the pit lane. But either way, that is more free real estate. And that, wow, I just want to say, I've been looking at the top 10. Quincy currently battling for 6th place as of right now with Flip. And Quincy, I think, nearly got a move done there. Where was he? Oh my goodness me, that must have been round turns 3 and 4 there. Because he was literally underneath, a 10th to the Haas up ahead. Now, of course, he doesn't need to get this done on track due to Flip's 3-second track limits penalty, I think it is. But as of right now, Quincy just hanging on for dear life. And there you go, the graphic indeed confirms that. So here we go. This battle of 5th place will 6th place even will continue on into the next DRS zone. But our immediate attention turns to Andy and Danger David. These two were championship contenders last season. It was Andy who came out on top after David got his setup wrong and had a very unstable rear end in Barcelona, but looks like he's got everything sorted out. But it has been a very troubled season as up to this point, of course, of 2nd place. by 0.4 of a second. As now Jolly Boy John gets third place in the background as well. And he's up into third place, of course, the non-finisher from last week. As we... Oh, no! He's at the moment as well! He's down to 10th! Herman!
Oh my god, he must have lost it at the exit of 2. Very tricky to get right in terms of traction. But he has stabilized the car and most importantly, no damage. That is very good for him now. He can still have a good race. We haven't completed half distance as of right now. He's on a good tire that will still last long. Most of these guys will be coming in ahead of him, his time. And he's already back, right in the rear of Flip, who both must have had an incident. They're both down from 6th and 7th position now into 9th and 10th, as there's another time penalty for Flip just going into turn number 9. And I think one thing you need to be pointing out here as well is how good Jolly Boy John is doing right now. Third, and Bevish is still on his, was going to be doing his first pit stop, as we maybe have a change for the lead. David on the inside into turn 1, challenging in Andy Andre, having the DRS again because of that one DRS detection zone you mentioned before. They have extended their gap towards the rest of the podium, including Jolly Boy John in third. And let's see if there is any pace left in David. He has currently 50% ES disadvantage, has used all of this to get by on the Romanian Mercedes driver, but he certainly has a plan and he wants to execute that right now and is making moves inside of this race. Let's see what the others can do. Moksha still behind Bevish, not ideal. Old hard tires from the V Cup, and he needs to be aware that Jolly Boy John can't get away from him, although he's on the medium tires. He will probably pit sooner rather than later compared to the Alpine, but he does not want to get involved. And there's another incident. No, there's just a change between Flip and Ibo, as he has lost more and more ground. And one thing I wanted to touch on earlier was how both Energetic and... Oh, another spin!
Oh.
That was Ibo.
Ibo dramatically into the barrier there. Lost it going through this...
They're fighting again!
Andy Andre having a moment on the exit of turn 1. I think he was battling side by side with Danger David, and now David has the inside. And turn number 2 gets the move done. But will David hold it coming up the hill into turn 4? Here we go, and yes, he will. The gap has increased there. And Bavish as well. Jolly Boy John, I think, has had a moment as well up in third place. He's down to 5th as well, Herman. You can take back over.
Yeah, I was want to try to mention that maybe Energetic and Huge had a moment where they both were together at that stage, fighting for P5, as Slip is now into the pits. They were both fighting for P5, P6, and then both of them suddenly got off, and he needed to pit. And Energetic maybe feeling guilty. I have no idea what's happening, but maybe he felt guilty of an incident and then just retired in the pit lane because he was probably expecting, or will be expecting, a high penalty towards his name, because there was something going on. There was no major damage or major incident flagged by the in-game race control for that sector, but we will have to see what the aftermath of the stewards will be, as Andy moves to the outside of turn 1 again on David. He lets her move complete, and he's not fighting her back into turn 1 as of right now. Let's see if there's an opportunity. Moksha now into third. Very well done and very much needed. And there's also, I think, a bit of front wing damage. Or did I just... Yeah, front right end plate of the Alpine is missing. So continuous battles with these 2 or 3 drivers even behind him have taken a toll on him. And his car is Snake. Also Kovachka having a good race. And Wouter are within their DRS window now. So the P3 to P8 are looking feisty as Truckster pits again. That is another hard tire, if I can spot that here. Or even a used hard tire from early on. One of our guys who is currently a time penalty as we move back to the start of the third sector with Andy and David still closely together as Ibo gets out of the way in the second sector.
Absolutely. About lapped driver here. And now we have Devsy as well up ahead, so Devsy will need to move out the way sooner rather than later, and does so on the final corner. Might leave him vulnerable won't leave Andy vulnerable to David, but of course Andy gets that DRS advantage from Devsy. So that might mean that Andy holds on to the lead for another lap. Now, one of the things that will be in the mind of David and Andy equally is, when do they stop? They will be thinking about stopping, I would say, at the beginning of the lap 20s, I would say, within the first, early 20s in the race. But here we go, we're going to see a battle for third place. And Barish, you know what? All credit to the driver here. He has actually hung on to third place. Now, of course, oh my word, and the tyre life there kind of dictating how much grip he had through that long right-hander, although the downforce should have carried him. But there you go, that means that the tyres are beginning to lose friction with the surface as the surface gets rubbered down more and more, and the surface gets taken away from those hard tyres. So he's going to have to stop sooner rather than later there. It's starting to cause a little bit of trouble for the V-Carb driver. And I would say as well, part of the reason that Barish is able to keep up, as Herman said earlier, is that front wing damage that he pointed out just a couple of laps ago. As we see Falco Warrior with a 3-second track limits penalty, doesn't have any immediate effect, as the driver behind also has a penalty. But here we go, Babish into the pit lane. Herman, what tyres do you think he's selecting?
Yeah, I'm certainly interested why he extended so long, like he's doing a one-stop race, like the usual one. But yeah, let's see if he's playing in like double soft or maybe medium soft. I have no idea. It's the medium for now, as he's into the pit lane and leaves the others fighting for the top 3 spots. As yeah, unfortunately you spotted a bit wrong. Moksha has the front wing damage still, so Bevish had no need to actually change something on his car, but Moksha might need to if he doesn't want to continuously run wide. As Flip has crashed it, and there's a safety car, just as Bevish had pitted. Oh no!
And guess what? Flip actually crashed on the exit of turn 11. Now, while that is bad, I mean, you could say that's bad news for Babish, but at the same time, he's now on par with everybody else, and there's a tyre in the middle of the track, which David and Andy had to take avoiding action of. So that means on the exit, I actually saw that in another league where a couple of cars actually lost grip on the exit of turn number 11, and it actually caused them to crash. So while Babish loses the advantage, I think he is sensible by maybe taking the hard tyre to the end of the race here and just kind of being on an even keel with anybody else. Now, it might lose him the podium positions, but in all honesty, I'd rather be in that position rather than be a pit stop behind.
Oh no, Moksha! 10-second time penalty! Oh no! That is certainly the podium gone. No way you're coming back from it.
Absolutely. Moksha there with a 10-second track limits penalty. And unfortunately for him, that's probably the end of any sort of result for him. So his podium will elude him for yet another week. Of course, wasn't able to finish last time out in Azerbaijan. So had a great start to the season though, put a string of podiums together, but these last 2 rounds have really been one to forget for the Alpine driver. Now, did Babish actually come in? No, he did not. So he is actually going to remain out on those medium tyres. Well, that's a bit of a risky strategy. So he might be going on to the softs for the final few laps of the race. What do you think, Herman?
Honestly, think if you should have the second medium available to you, you should pit now again, or should have pitted at the end of the lap. Okay, so strategy-wise, something interesting happened. I did not expect. Both Moksha and Andy seem to be having the second hard available to the arsenal, because Andy is back again on the hards. We expected David to go because he wasn't. He only pitted for mediums so far. Jolly Boy was in mediums, needed to pit. Snake also has a second hard tire because he started on one. Kovetska might be the first time. Wouter also jumped Moksha because he changed that front wing and also has to serve that 10-second time penalty as well. And Bevish, yeah, just pitted the lap before onto a fresh medium. That is certainly not the best strategy. We saw Sinful display that, and Bevish is throwing points out of the window right now. if he wants to gamble on another safety car. We still have 17 drivers available, and I think some of them are more crash prone. And you saw that Tuck and Gino just enabled, and Moksha's probably pitting to serve the time penalty. I think he will going to that medium again. He's serving that time penalty just to make sure, and just to bring the point to an end with Bevish. If you gamble for another safety, because with all of these drivers still remaining, you will be losing out if you don't take into consideration how much of traffic you still need to go through that is not on the same strategy any longer. And it's still another hard tire, but that must be a used one for sure. Yeah, that's 12 laps. I think that might have been a misclick. So I expected the second fresh medium he should have from qualifying on his car. Maybe he comes in again. I mean, he's at the back now anyway. Only one position will be lost. The P16 and P17 are lapped anyway from P1 to P15 downwards anyway. So if there's no call in for the safety car on this lap, Moksha, you should get rid of these old hard tires. Please don't try another 30 laps on them. Oh my word. Moksha's race is on his head, to say the least.
Absolutely. At the moment, yeah, Moksha's in a lot of trouble there. Looks like a misclick. 12 lap old hard's going on to him, as Herman has already explained. But also, just looking at some of the improvements, like, let's take the Vatchka, for example. He's up 12 positions as of right now, and looking at his results from last week, he was also up 10. So again, he is up into the double digits of improved positions, and looks like he can get a good finish if he can keep this together. Keep an eye on this. But Andy will be our safety car leader. Safety car peeling into the pits, and now it's going to be up to him, as I'm going to go silent and let the Mercedes engine do the talking. And underway we go. Didn't really leave it long, and David already caught napping a little bit. 0.6 of a second here has been lost to the Mercedes driver, but Danger David still able to hang on for second for the time being, as Kavachka and Pleasant Snake are doing battle for 4th and 5th here. And Mr. Wilds are also involved in this. Now remember, Babish is the outlier here, because Babish has yet to make his second stop, so 7th position may not be his final finish, as Moksha as well, now looking to make moves already. Hasn't been able to do so right off the bat, but look at this, going into turn number 5, surely not. And, well, the Ferrari has given him the room, but now look, Eugene is in there, and somehow the Alpine is still there through the left and right chicane. Somehow everybody gets through it cleanly, but look, and there's contact between the Alpine and the Ferrari, as Babish with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. But at the moment, this battle being very exciting. It's only for 13th place. Falco Warrior trying to hold on, but he does have track limit penalties to serve as well, so this really serves him no benefit, and he's losing time to the cars in front. Eugene trying to have a look round the outside into the next turn, but unable to do so. DRS is now enabled, but Danger David and Jolly Boy John are outside of each other. That's for 2nd and 3rd respectively. But here we go, onto the start-finish straight we go. Moksha now in the slipstream of the Ferrari, but so's Eugene. Keep an eye out for both drivers. Here we go, to the inside goes Moksha for 13th place. Gets it done. Can Eugene follow through? I believe he can. He's round the outside as of right now of the Ferrari, but Falco Warrior is still fighting this. Despite his penalty, his character stands true, but Eugene gets the move done and will continue to follow Moksha as they chase down the top 12.
Yeah, certainly good fight by Moksha, but he needs to get this one done, because his tires will be worse the longer this one gets on, and there are still 12 laps to go as he and he hits the wall. Yeah, that's the caster curse again. Front wing end plate damage to the left hand side of his car on a track that has mostly turns to the right. That is very painful, as David is clawed back into the DRS window of Andy. He has pushed all of his ERS, but will be having DRS on both of these straights, most noticeably on this one. And it's still around 1 second the gap as Snake is looking to get moves on, as there's T-Bran on soft tires fighting Toby with Takin Gino ahead, who was briefly fighting Walter just a couple of laps ago at the safety car restart, couldn't get it done, and now is left fighting for his life for P8. Can't imagine T-Bran soft tires going the whole distance. They are fresh on they're 4 laps old, and he has an advantage right now. But how do you get moves done on a track like this? Certainly only into turn 1 and with very good traction out of the final turn, that is turn 14. As the top 2 have once again peeled off and away from the rest of the pack. With Jolly Boy John 2.7 seconds behind, almost 3 now. With Snake forming the train, Kovačka, Babish and Wouter behind down into P7. Fastest lap by David now. There won't be a chance for him to take the lead, but maybe Pleasant Snake can get a podium position here. He's currently staying back as now T-Bran is going for P8 on Tarkangino. He needs to be very cautious to his tires, needs to be very aware that they won't go the full distance. And he can maybe extend a stint here. But there will be certainly still there's still work to be done inside of this race for him. 11 laps to go, and the tires won't budge with that.
At the moment, Tabran losing time to the cars ahead. Soft tyres are usually only good for about 3 or 4 laps, and he's used them up good and proper. So 2.2 seconds separating him from Mr. Router ahead. And, well, Bavish, I was saying how he was having a good race earlier on, but, of course, is a pit stop behind. Of course, he was one of my predictions for the podium, but with that 3-second penalty, highly unlikely now. And we're really just kind of seeing what these two can do. It is Andy Andre and David yet again, like it was last week. It is absolutely imperative that Danger David finishes in front of Andy Andre here, as we're seeing Pleasant Snake do battle with Jolly Boy John for what feels like part number 5 here, as now Pleasant Snake to the outside. We've had a crash in turn 1 with one of the Ferraris. I think it's Toby who's had a bit of a moment there. But at the moment now, Bavish side by side with Kovačka there, got the move, well no, defended from him, but Pleasant Snake there as well, up into 3rd place there, and that was through turns 4 and 5, so impressive stuff from the Williams driver here. But at the moment, I do believe it is John and Snake just kind of fighting for the last of the podium positions, because Danger David and Andy are in a league of their own, for lack of a better way of putting it. What do you think, Herman?
Certainly good move, and a bit of a synchronized choreography of Snake and Jolly Boy John, and Bavish actually overtook Kovačka there, so they actually swapped positions, and that was very nicely done. And I have to say, Snake is looking very likely to close this one out. I don't want to write off Jolly Boy John, but Snake looks to be faster than overall race pace right now, as the top 2 are close together. Maybe there's a move by David into turn 2. Approaching the end of the race, last stint is there, and he goes to the inside very late, and there's a slight touch to his front axle, and loses momentum, and he is gonna be staying in 2nd for now. I think Andy would argue that was a bit too late for a move where the braking zone isn't really that long, and you take medium speed corners with very little brake input anyway, so that is a move that wasn't really gonna be successful, I think, into turn 2 there, and the rest of the pack is still keeping that train honest, as T-Bran is just bringing Tarkangino along, Trackster and 10th, even with time penalties, good points as of right now for him, and maybe a late safety car. Can bring him closer. Obviously, penalties would apply, and there would be a harder punishment, as there's now Wouter on the outside of 14 to get a move done. Maybe a mistake by Kovatska there. Both of them having DRS. Top 2 have stayed the same, and Andy has broken away from David. That is a bigger gap now. And Takagino on T-Brand for P8. As the rest ahead of them, roughly 5 seconds, have stayed the same. Let's see if Wouter can pull into the group and fight with them, because as you know, Babish has not applied to our ruling of 2 stops, and he will be handed a hefty penalty at the end if that stays the same. And Quincy has called it a day in P16, had an extra stop just a couple of laps ago, as spotted that on the track map, and he will be not finishing this race, as David gets a 3-second time penalty. That's certainly the win, I think, for Andy. Great fight by the Scotsman until now, but I think that's, yeah, set as the fate. Moksha, another time penalty. He's currently still in 15th, nowhere near the pack. He pitted again, actually. That's why he's so far back again. He was fighting inside of that top 10 group earlier on. We saw that nice battles with Eugene. Oh, there's the car in the way. No, Quincy. Okay, luckily the AI has parked on the not on the racing line, as Toby is into the pits as well. Yeah, so Moksha looking at 1 point currently, fighting Devsy, who's also into the pits now. So yeah, the only thing he can really do is push for fastest lap, go onto soft tires late on, and do something in terms of the points be taking away from. Let's see who has the fastest lap. David right now. So yeah, that could be helpful, but obviously not the result he was looking for, as also Sabo is now past Quincy. And Wouter is actually in front of Babish into turn 12, and he has some charge to his name, so he can fight that. And Babish now makes his final pit stop. Let's see where he comes out. Probably gonna be soft tires, as David actually is fighting with Andy Andre into turn 1. Jolly Boy John is fighting with Pleasant Snake as well. He gets the move done, and they have swapped positions once again, and Snake is still left with a bit of a task. If you're in front, you always feel like a move from a guy on the final lap is gonna be easy, and you're certainly gonna lose that position. But if you're at the front, sometimes that is all you need. And there is a bit of management obviously required now for the ERS, but I think they will brawl it out until the last lap, until the last meters of this race. Currently diving into the final sector on this 30th lap, with Andy in second.
Absolutely. What David really needs to try and do now is try and break away from that DRS, and of course that's easier said than done, considering who we have behind. A 3 times in a row champion, looking to make it 4 times in a row this season. It's going to be a really hard ask, and there you go, Andy still within the DRS zone. It was by 7/10 of a second, so David is trying his hardest to try and create a gap, but it is going to probably fall to naught by the time we are finished with the race in what is essentially 5 laps time. Jolly Boy John and Pleasant Snake, Mr. Wouter and Kavachka will take our attention. Babish has now served that second pit stop, as Herman, I think, said just a few moments ago. He is currently on 1 lap old soft tyres, so they should go all the way comfortably for the V-Carb driver. But at the moment, here we go, Pleasant Snake trying to get a move done on the Aston Martin, and currently unable to do so. Turn 5, very unlikely. We did see a move earlier on, but it was very much with these pace of cars. Don't think that's going to be a possibility. And now you really do just kind of have to set yourself up now for what is going to be the final few corners. At the moment, We started with 20 drivers. There's been a
Truckster!
crash with Truckster. Oh no, Truckster still living up to that reputation he built up in seasons 3 and 4. A penalty to boot, but now a crash to boot as well. Sadly, inconsistency is paying Truckster like it very much did in season 3. Looked like he was going to be a championship contender, but sadly, the mistakes you're seeing today are still very much with the McLaren driver. Pleasant Snake as well has actually just made a battle with Jolly Boy John. Here we go. Pleasant Snake Teddy inside here. Jolly Boy John trying to hang on for a dear life, but won't be able to. But now Mr. Wouter could throw a spanner in the works and try and get in between these cars. Wasn't able to do it on that time around, but still, he is there with him. And Kavachka as well, having a brilliant race. He's in the double digits in terms of points gained, positions gained even. Truckster with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And I think he might be retiring from the section, although I don't know. He is still here. As wow, Moksha there riding the grass into the pit lane entry he goes. So I think he's going to go for fastest lap of the race.
Nope.
No, he's going for DNF, Herman there. So my bad.
Yeah, they kind of expected to at least finish this one off. Obviously, I think the championship fight is gonna be tough, but in terms of constructors championship, there's still lots of points to be gained. Obviously, Andy will be scoring big for Mercedes, and I think the points that would have been scored by Ibo are also going towards the team because we changed the rule for reserve drivers. And their point scoring, so that is certainly going to be interesting as Wouter now takes 4th position off of Jolly Boy John into turn 1, and I think Wouter has the call up now that you need to be doing the moves. That was the regard car of Moch, I think, at the background there. And there was there's now the time where Wouter needed to clear this car because he can't probably overtake 2 into or on 1 lap, and he's now charging that as Kovac now gets a 3-second time penalty. The only Hungarian hope remaining after Fellerson's pit lane disaster, and he will be scoring good points here in P6 today. That penalty won't do anything to his final result. And he is looking, and Wouter gets a 3-second time penalty just as he started to get his spirits up, make a move, and maybe finish off in a good position. We have now back-to-back Dutch drivers in 4th position, not getting on the podium on the same race weekend. And that is certainly tough as he gets a slow-moving exit. Maybe a bit of wheel spin there. And he's still keeping with David. Obviously, time penalties don't require him to challenge that. Jolly Boy John wants to get by on Wouter, although the penalty. And there's been a spin by Ibo in front somehow, yeah. But he's getting out of the way. Has been lapped already, and that is a nice move. And there's a time penalty for Andy! Oh my word, and David could win this race all of a sudden! David just needs to stay ahead for 1 more lap as they approach the chicane on the penultimate lap, and David now has all of his hands on the trophy, and Andy needs to get this move done into turn 1. That is certainly the best overtaking opportunity on this racetrack. Turn 1 into lap 35. Is he going for it already now? Turn 12. Oh yes, he has done it. And he has 100% ES charge.
Guess what? David has done this on purpose because he wants the DRS advantage going into the final lap. This is on purpose. David deliberately slowed down enough so that he wouldn't impede Andy, but would allow him through. Here we go. 2.7 miles separate one of these drivers from the win. David to the inside, into turn 1. Can he hold it round there? He absolutely can, but Andy fights back. Here we go again, into turn 2. We are now going to go side by side. Yet again, it's David to the outside. Bit of contact between them. And well, Andy holds on for now. now, but David's strategy hasn't worked out the way it wanted to, but he should have another opportunity. He's got 36% of ERS to go. He can save through these twisty do these twisty corners, won't be able to make a move, but it will be crucial time to save up. He is still underneath 4/10 here, as now we are going through the final few corners. It is starting to run out of time for the Red Bull driver. He is already using the overtake button now. All the pressure on the Romanian driver. Will it go to Scotland this time around? I don't think so. It's probably going to be 5 in a row unless Andy makes a severe mistake. David trying to use that outside line. No, it's just lost the rear end in the final few moments. So, for the 5th time in a row in Division 2 this season, the win goes Romanian, and the Scotsman will be in second. But it is going to be a podium for Pleasant Snake in the Williams. Jolly Boy, well, no, wait a minute. Even with penalties applied, Pleasant Snake will be in 3rd. 4th is Jolly Boy John Router. 5th, 6th is Kovachka. Tarkin Gino, 17 seconds behind. Great drive from him, actually, all things considered. Kept it quiet, didn't really talk about him all that much. He comes home 7th. Good haul of points for the Red Bull team. And then it is 8th and 9th for for 8th for Brown, 9th for Eugene. Falcor, Warrior, will come home in 10th place. Of course, Babish with a DNF himself for the 2nd time in a row. Or is it the 3rd time in a row? I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. And then it's Toby who will come home 11th, so the Ferrari camp will round up 10th and 11th. Trugster, well, a bit of a miserable race for him. Qualified 6th, but sadly couldn't even keep it in the top 10. It is 12th place for the return of the Trug, and he will bring the McLaren home in that position. But Herman, what an ending to the race that was. It was so calm and collected throughout those final few laps, and then all of a sudden Andy, with that penalty, just brought things alive all of a sudden with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, what a fight they had, and I think David had that race completely signed off. He was gonna finish 2nd no matter what with that time penalty, and then suddenly he's just stayed with Andy, continued to be in his DRS train. He was constantly threat to him, overtook him, and then just managed the end of the race, and suddenly a time penalty strikes. But you have to say, even that is not stopping Andy right now from taking wins, and that is the 5th one on the bounce. Fastest lap goes to David though, and we can see the final rundown here as well, once again with Snake, Jolly Boy John, Wouter also strong ace, Kovachka driver of the day, certainly deserves from 17th on the grid. Also Taken Gino up 7th positions. Then it's T-Ben, huge. Then it's Falco on debut for the team, even beating Toby. Then Chuckster with poor shoring. Devsy was probably lapped twice by the whole field, as well as now Bevish obviously finishing off inside of the pit lane as a DNF. Ibo scoring points then, and then Moksha, Quincy, Flip, Energetic, and Fallison not finishing today. So big loss of points for Kicksauber, also for VCup, who just seem to be on the upward trend after that podium in Azerbaijan.
What a race that was towards the very end of that round. A lot of twists and turns we will need to go through. Of course, we will be speaking to our top 3, which consist of Andy Andre, Danger David, and Pleasant Snake in that order. But Andy taking his 5th win in a row in Division 2. He has been an unstoppable force this season. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch him excel. Of course, just kind of want to bring things back. In terms of next week, it will be back to normal. I will be back in the UK, and we will be broadcasting this live like we are so used to. And Herman, I imagine you will be joining me in the commentary box. And just want to say now, before we get into interviews, thank you very much for getting all this together at such short notice. just while I've been away. And looking forward to being back with you in live as well, and in the same time, well, in a similar-ish time zone, let's put it that way.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, no problem. Obviously, that hasn't really changed, but it was interesting to see how to manage your voice and the things on screen. So that was certainly another challenge I wasn't expecting to be having inside of this season. But yeah, I'm hoping we can speak to Travis soon and talk about a very interesting race. We have another podium for Snake as well, and obviously, yeah, David is just continuing his upward trend. Um, yeah, let's see what they have to say for the race.
Absolutely, and I'll just get things underway. We've just got a notification needs to be quick today, so let's get things underway. In fact, we've just had Andy come in, so Andy, we'll get underway. Congratulations on the fifth win in a row in Division Two, Andy. That looked to have been a bit closer than you would have liked, but it was absolutely entertaining. How did that go in your point of view?
Wow, incredibly tough race. I haven't been used to the feeling of struggling so much throughout. Congratulations to David. I think he was the fastest out there today. I never really could get out of his DRS. Yeah, at the end, a bit of position playing, a bit of DRS chicken, but somehow I managed to get my car in front to the finish line. I hope it was all fair. I didn't have a chance to look back at it. We had some pretty tough racing throughout the final laps, but yeah, all in all, it was a very enjoyable race, and congrats to him again for the pace he showed today.
And absolutely, of course, and you got that 3 second penalty with a lap 34 with just 1.5 laps to go. What was kind of your thinking going into all of that? Because I think you were behind David at the time, and just kind of like, were your thoughts? Did you have any sort of immediate plan, or was it just very much you were playing it moment by moment?
Uh, Obviously, I didn't give it too good of a thought. If I could, I wanted to finish ahead of him despite the penalty. I remembered a race in the past where I settled behind the winner. It was Herman on that occasion, and yeah, he had a penalty which got removed after the race. And I know it's a different sort of penalty, but I didn't really give it much thought, and I tried to get it home in front of David. So yeah, unfortunately, pushed a bit too much behind him. He was really incredibly fast today and made that final mistake, which got me the penalty.
And now, of course, this means that your lead to David, I think, is extended to, I think it's over 52 points now. We're approaching the halfway point of the season. We're a couple of rounds away, I do believe. But in terms of going forward with the championship, you must be feeling ever so confident now. You must feel a little untouchable.
Yeah, regarding the point situation, definitely it's a very enjoyable position to be in. Uh, I wished today my on-track performance would have been a little bit better. Yesterday, I felt I dominated the pace, but today I seemed to struggled a bit. I was a bit surprised by the race David managed to pull together. But still, going forward, I can't be anything but confident. Looking back to the races I've had so far, it's looking good, and it's a good position to be in right now.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll leave one question to Herman, and then I think we'll move on to Danger David, and I'll let Herman actually take
I
that one.
think we're a bit on a
Go on.
rush here, so I think we just can move on to David. I think with Quincy being a bit on our toes here. So yeah, congratulations from me as well, Andy. Very well done, and hope to see you in Monza again on the top side of the podium, maybe.
Yep, thank you both, guys. See you next week. Bye.
See you
Bye.
next week. Congratulations again. All
Moving.
right, moving on. Herman, do you want to take the question this
Yeah.
time?
Next on the menu is David. Yeah, well, David, that was certainly once again a very nice fight by you and Andy. We've seen a photo finish in Azerbaijan, and for some time in later stages of this race, it didn't look like you were gonna win this one, and then suddenly Andy has been hit with a time penalty, and you were leading at that stage. How much of an increase in blood pressure did you have at that stage?
Yeah, it was intense. I'd obviously gotten a 3-second penalty before that, and I was only on. I don't think I was on any further warnings. And I seen when Andy was in front of me, I did see him leave the track a few times, and I was thinking he has to be on his final warning. So a couple of the corners, I took them a bit wide, thinking he would maybe follow me through the corners, and it did pay off because a penalty did result for him. But it put me under more pressure, to be honest with you, because I just knew he was going to give everything at that point. And fair play, by the way, Andy, mate, your pace is sensational. Like I gave absolutely everything to keep up with Andy, keeping his DRS on them difficult laps. But honestly, Andy, you're a fantastic driver, mate.
Yeah, certainly looked like you were all on the edge here. I noticed that your ES management was always in the lower ends of the battery percentage, and that every time there was, especially with the two safety cars, you were just trying to be sure that you're inside of the DRS window and getting also away from the pack, because when there's a late safety car and you're inside a traffic jam, you can't get rid of that 3 second time span you needed. And at that stage, when the time penalty both hit you basically related to the races, were gone from the pack down in P3 anyway. So did you think you did anything wrong here today? That was so close again. Strategy is always playing a big part with these two mandatory stops. So what's your final verdict for yourself today, if you could give yourself a grade in terms of strategy today?
I think overall pace was good. The race pace was better than the qualifying pace. I made a few errors in the qualifying, unfortunately. So I just knew if I could keep close to the kind of top 4 or 5 drivers, I could make some good progress in the race. I felt confident on the track. Um, like I said earlier, keeping within that DRS of Andy was quite difficult. I gave it everything, so I'm pretty happy with my performance. It would have been nice to win, but it was nice to see Andy get his elbows out a bit and take that first position back for me. Respect on track, to be honest with you. Good driving.
Last final bit is, did you let him buy on the penultimate lap into turn 12?
What was that? Sorry.
Did you let him buy on purpose into turn 12 on the penultimate lap for a bit of DRS chicken, or was he just fast enough to take you into the turn?
I turned off my battery completely because I needed to recharge. I was quite low and I felt he was maybe a bit quicker on the straights. I wasn't sure. I wasn't playing any DRS chicken. I honestly thought he was going to turn his battery off and stay behind me. I wasn't expecting him to go up the inside, so it was quite a good move on his part, to be fair. And yet played off because I couldn't get past him on the straight, even with my battery full deployed. So yeah,
All right.
it wasn't deliberate, but it worked out for him.
Yeah, okay, certainly. Yeah, congratulations again on your second, and we are looking forward to see what you can do in Monza next month. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure.
All right, and well, for last but most definitely not least, we have Pleasant Snake on the podium. An absolutely fantastic drive. You were jostling and dueling with Jolly Boy John for what felt like most of that race, but in the end, it looked quite comfortable. How did you do? Oh, how do you feel about that race overall?
I'm just super happy to be back on the podium, to be honest. It's been a while since done any good now, I feel like. But it was, fun race. I had, as you said, a long battle with Jolly Boy. And I, on the last stint, I passed him once, but then I was so low on ERS and couldn't really save back. So I was just trying to save, and then I had to defend on the start-finish straight every lap. And then he overtook me again. And then I tried to save as much ERS as possible. And then tried to not use too much ERS overtaking him, and then Dwight could like push for a couple of laps to maybe get out of DRS, and yeah, he worked out.
And just in terms of your strategy, did you have anything pre-established going in, or did you really play it by the safety car periods that came around?
Yeah, or the first stint was a bit shorter than I was planning to, but I was planning to do the hard, medium, hard anyways, so it kind of worked out great with my strategy, the safety cars.
Brilliant. But in terms of going forward now, could we expect to see you on the podium again, or not very likely? How are you feeling about your future podium prospects?
It's hopefully I will be more on the podium. It's I think it's coming a couple of tracks I quite I like, so we will see.
All right.
Last weekend was my worst track ever. I hate it. So
Well,
so,
we do
yeah.
hope. Sorry, go on.
I'm just hoping that I can do some good races throughout the season. So even if I don't have really any time to practice nowadays, so yeah. But I have yeah.
Well, look, thank you very much for taking our questions this evening. Unless if Herman has an additional one, but we probably don't have time. But we'll say again, congratulations on third place, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats from me as well. See you next week.
Thank you.
All right, Dave, it has been once again a pleasure to be commentating on this very interesting and entertaining race. Once again, not the most famous in terms of overtaking, but we certainly saw some intense battling, including Moksha, both at the front, David and Andy, Jolly Boy John and Snake we just discussed. So a track where a lot of high speed sections, a lot of high braking zone sections are coming up with Monza. We can not wait to get another round of very good racing and a lot of good battling underway, and we will be back in 7 days time. I hope we can see another close fight, and maybe David is gonna challenge Andy throughout the rest of the season. I'm at least hoping so, and let's see if Andy can even find something to extend his gap, and we will be looking forward to the Temple of Speed at Monza. Thank you very much for your comments, for your commentary today as well, and seeing you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.